Listen, you need to understand the harsh truth about addiction. It's a cunning, insidious monster that lurks within your very soul, waiting to pounce on any moment of weakness. It devours your sanity and self-control, leaving you a mere shell of your former self. When you're deep in the grips of addiction, your life becomes a waking nightmare. You lose everything that matters to you: your health, your relationships, your career, and your freedom. Your mind becomes twisted and distorted, and you're no longer able to see the world as it truly is. And the worst part is, addiction doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. It doesn't care about your age, your race, your gender, or your socioeconomic status. It's a plague that ravages every corner of the earth, leaving nothing but destruction and despair in its wake. But there is a way out. Sobriety is the only path to salvation. It's a grueling, painful journey, but it's the only way to break free from the chains of addiction and reclaim your life. You must summon every ounce of courage and strength within you to fight back against this monster. And if you don't, it's just going to consume you, body and soul. It's up to you. Succumb to the darkness or fight for the light.
Let's get it on.
Get it on, baby.
Get it on.
We're getting it on. All right, people. This is it. Have no idea what we're doing,
Hey now.
but we're doing it anyway. This is Brave New World, strange territory, and we're turning to face the strange. That's Adam back over there. Adam is the guy today. I'm Tony, and this is absolutely not anonymous. This is where we tell all the secrets. We talk about stuff here, and believe me when I tell you, we know some stuff about this topic. The topic is relapse. And first of all, does anybody see us? I don't know if we're even happening. Is anybody out there? I can't. How do you tell?
Chickadee check.
Yeah, is anybody with us? Come on, man.
Hey, we got viewers.
We got anybody out
Yeah.
there willing to say something?
Check this.
Type something, because from what I understand, this program responds to chat, and I don't know.
That's good.
Is anybody on your horizon there, Adam? Do you see anything?
No, sir. I just see a real good-looking guy.
That's me.
Oh.
you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, we ain't doing that, brother.
No.
We ain't doing that. All right, let's go to two windows. I like that better. All right, here we go.
Cool.
All right, so here we are. This is absolutely not anonymous. The very first episode, first podcast. We hope we got people out there. How this works is we're going into Restream. Restream is going to Facebook Live, and it's also going live to YouTube. Our YouTube channel is absolutely not anonymous. And like I said, I don't know how this works. So we're going to find out what happens after it's over. We're going to be here for a while.
All right, cool. Settle in, baby.
Yep. The topic is relapse. And I myself have not had that pleasure. I have not relapsed.
White chip wonder.
Yeah, I'm one of them guys. But I was fried when I finally did get recovery. So I saw no reason to revisit those old places, people, places, and things. But today, Adam is here to tell us what it's like when you do it repeatedly. I mean, this guy right here he's a wonderful, wonderful friend. He's a wonderful. Uh, he has other people in mind and in heart all the time. I mean, he's a fisher of men. He goes out of his way to make sure somebody who's in need of recovery or whatever they need gets it. He'll go for that. As a matter of fact, he was offered a position in a recovery field where nobody else was. I mean, they were going to start their own branch and put him in charge of it because he was so good at communicating with men that were in need of recovery. But then he went out. and we call that relapse. We call that, that relapse is going out. Um, and I have a couple of questions about that. How many times do you think you relapsed, Adam? Tell us a little something about your story before we go.
Man, I really don't even know if that's like a countable number. I guess you would really have to correlate that to any real sobriety. If I'm gonna like say that, I relapsed, man, and that's just a word that we use, right? There's like some old heads, man, that will scoff immediately. We'll be in on a meeting, man, and you know, you share a little something or whatever about relapse, and then it comes around the room, and an old boy will be like, "You didn't relapse. You just chose to drink."
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds good, man. Whatever. So if we're talking about choosing a drink, relapse, going back out, whatever term you want to put on it, man, that's fine with me. I think really, the first time I ever tried to get sober, I was 15, man. You hear the nudge from the judge, right? There's these little one-liners, and I was probably about 16, 15, 16. Bones, man, old Bones wrecked the bike, man.
Bones is your dad.
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And he got on the OxyContin, man. Started smoking weed and drinking as a kid, man. Small farm town outside the city of Boston, man. We go out to the woods and the fields, man, and we'd party. We guys had trucks and jeeps, and we'd go out there and it just started, normally, man, drinking by the fire, drinking and fighting, flirting with the chicks, man. We always had a spot to go, man. My father had some land, and so we'd go out there. And I guess it started innocently enough, man, but it for me, it picked up really quick, man. Bones wrecked the bike, got on some Oxycontin. Said, "Pa, what are them pills you taking?" He sat me down. He showed me what they were. He said, "This is the most potent dope on the street, kid. $1 a milligram. You stay away from anybody that's got anything like this." And he never should have told me that, man, because I was looking at them pills and doing the math in my head. And I was just going, got 90, got a bottle of 90, $1 a milligram, 40 milligram pills. Damn, I could take 2, 3, 4 of them bad boys and go sell them in school, whatever. And that's what I did, man. Started taking a couple here and there, bringing them to the older kids. And, I was buying weed and buying booze, man. And one day, one of my buddies was like, "Yo, this is how my brother's doing, man." And we started sniffing the OCs, bud. And it didn't take long before some consequences caught up, man. I was 16 years old, man, with full blown pharmaceutical grade heroin addiction, dope sick, selling weed out the house, man. And my buddy came over, man, and he's like, dude, he came over to get some pills, and he was like, I was sick, man. I was really sick. And he's going, "Yo, why don't you just do a bump?" And I was like, "What are you talking about, man? I got to sell these, man. I got to make the money back, And he's like, "You're dope sick right now, bro." And I didn't know what that was, man. And I remember, got high from there, realized that, this is a problem, smashed some windows out in the high school. That was it. They sent me to South Boston. I was 16 years old, man, dropped out in ninth grade. I'd rather, delete the messages off the voicemail so Bones didn't know that I was missing school. And by the time he found out, it was too late, man. He did the best he could. They shipped me off to the Cushing house in South Boston, man. And I always think about that movie Blow, when Johnny Depp goes in to prison, and he says, "I went in with a bachelor's in marijuana and came out with a fucking master's in cocaine." And so that was that's how you doing on the old F-bomb. No big deal. That's the one. Let's keep them going. So I get to Southie, man, and those kids were all like D Street projects, like real Irish Catholic, like that's not how my boys were, man. These kids were like the real deal, dude. It was brutal, man. And that was my first introduction to abstinence-based spiritual program, man. I had no idea what that was, and we'd get on the little druggy buggy and ride to Dunkin' Donuts, man, and the guy would buy us all iced coffees, and we go down to L Street and Castle Island, man. And the meetings were amazing, man. Young guys, old Boston, street car Tommies, and all these old, these little okey dokes. What we got going on here, Tony? Getting a little. What are we doing? So, anyways, that was it, man. I had a little bit of time then. Never, never got like, never did the deal, man. I remember like wearing Celtics jerseys and getting ready for the meeting and going to check on the chicks, man. That was it. It was all about the women, I was 16, man. And I stayed sober for a little bit. I left rehab. I remember I stole a cell phone on my last day. They were having some construction. And on my way out of the rehab, I stole the construction guy's Nextel I-860 and fucking. And anyways, man, they were calling me up like, "What's up, man? Did you, we know you took the phone. He just wants a SIM card back, da 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 da." So I was a thief and a liar before I ever did drugs. On my way out of my first rehab, I stole a cell phone. Stayed sober for a little bit, man. Maybe, I don't know, a couple of months, and it's the same thing, man. It always goes back to the weed, bro. I was at a buddy's house, started smoking weed, and now I'm 16. And boy, oh boy, does it just take off from there, man? I'm framing houses. These guys are all alcoholics. That's what I was around, man. Drinking was a part of everyday life for everybody. The bikers, the blue collar guys, the jocks, everybody. Everybody drank and partied, man. And I wanted that. That's what I did too. And I was good at it, Adam would shotgun a Bud Heavy, do a backflip off the roof of the Jeep, veins popping out. That's my image. Crazy. Adam was crazy. I somehow built this badassery image up at an early age, man. And yeah, people seem to give me attention through that. That's what gave me the most attention. Was I always loved to be the center of attention, man.
Let me cut in here for
Sure.
1 second. It looks like nobody is seeing us live on Facebook. People are sending me messages saying, we're waiting. But we know, because we tested this thing, that it's going up onto, it's going into some depository somewhere.
Okay.
So when this is over, it'll be uploaded to YouTube and to Facebook. So anybody who wanted to see this live, apparently that's not happening. Even though when I went to the live link, we started getting feedback. That's when you asked what's going on.
Good. That makes it a lot easier for me.
Yeah. Just we're
No
going
big deal.
for it. But yeah, let me hear more about the relapse thing. That's what I want to hear, because I know you had issues as a kid, and I know it led you to getting high and drunk and all that. But when you first realized you had a problem, then you went to get help, or somebody made you get help or something, but then you decided to do it again. That kind of stuff right there. I mean, psychologically, that whole deal. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I understand that, and I guess it's just really just painting the picture of leading up to that, man. What I was trying to say was that, there was never any real recovery, right? So I don't even think you consider any. You asked me how many times I relapsed, bro. The answer to that is once, because I only had one real recovery, but that's semantics, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been in and out of my whole life, right?
Yeah.
So if in my own head, man, I only really got sober one time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When is that?
That was 2000. That was April 10th of 2018 was my first, real go at it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because I had been in and out my whole life, but man, it was never for me.
Yeah.
It was always for somebody else.
Uh-huh.
It was always for the judge or Bones or anything like that, And so I mean, it's just semantics, Tony. If we're talking about relapse, man. So I guess the answer that I have, and it comes from you, right? You can't relapse if you don't lapse, man.
Yeah.
And so, and that was it. So recently, that was January of this last year. No, so it would be January of 22 was my first real relapse. I put together 4 months, 6 months, pick up a couple chips. When you first met me, I think that was in 16, maybe.
Yeah.
Might have been 16 when you first met me. And I had a couple, I came into the rooms, man, got with some of them guys. I put a few months together, and you know the story from there.
Yeah.
It was, I couldn't let go of a girl, it was the same thing, man.
So in your particular case, the trigger was a relationship, a girl.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that's it either, Tony.
Well,
really
let me refresh your memory on one thing here. Okay, you get out of prison.
Yeah.
and
County jail.
yeah, wherever you were, and you were locked up,
Yeah.
and you get out,
Yeah.
and you're gonna come back to Savannah,
That's right.
and you were gonna do whatever it took, and you were gonna get back to Savannah, and you were gonna wait all night at a place of recovery until the morning sun comes up,
That's right.
and something happened in between you leaving the jail and you arriving at the place of recovery, and you end up again in jail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're sleeping on a park bench, man, and you get out of county jail, and you got nowhere to go.
Well, you were getting on a bus.
Yeah, I was getting on a bus to Savannah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
And
did that.
okay.
And the first thing I did when I hit the county doors was went straight to the gas station and got 2 Four Locos,
Ooh.
and shotgunned one of them. Just got hammered drunk. I wasn't even out for an hour.
Okay.
And there was weeks after that. I ended up in South Florida with some guy that I met at the homeless shelter who's trying to sell acid. We snuck into this event. After all that, and that's really an interesting story as well. After all that, I got nothing. It's the same thing. I'm weak. I cry. Oh, please help me. I'm willing to do whatever it takes when I got no shoes and I'm sleeping in the woods or whatever, right?
Yeah.
At that point in time, the man that picked me up gave me a can of bug spray, a hammock, and a flashlight, and dropped me off at a Winn-Dixie in the middle of nowhere in South Florida.
Yeah.
And I called a girl that I had been with, and she came and picked me up and brought me back to Savannah. Then I went through the whole stages of a spree again, got arrested, got shipped back to Florida. And when I got out in Florida is when I took the Greyhound bus back.
Yeah.
I get off the Greyhound bus in Savannah. Bones ain't picking up the phone. I got nobody, man. And I go to Forsyth and I'm sleeping on the park bench, man. And, it's the same thing, man. It's a repetitive cycle of behavior, man. Drinking and drugging and fighting. And then I get arrested. So that's what happened,
So people stop picking up the phone because it's the same thing all the time. Every single time you're not going to do it, you end up doing it again.
Absolutely, man.
So I mean, so this relapse deal is something that it doesn't just affect you; it affects everybody that's thinking that, all right, here comes our boy, he's coming back, and everything's going to be fine. And then the big disappointment is when that doesn't happen, and they just say, "Oh man, this ain't cutting it. To the hell with this shit. I ain't doing this no more."
Yeah, it's case by case, right, Tony?
Yeah.
There's parents, there's sisters, there's
Yeah.
brothers, there's friends, there's people who love you, man.
Yeah.
And that's a different level for everybody. For me, I was an only child. I always had Bones. I had an enabler.
Yeah.
Bones wouldn't always send me 300, but he would always, his little boy, little Adam.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I think he may have saved my life by finally cutting me off, man.
Yeah.
His analogy was, how many times can you get bit by a snake before you kill it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's it, man. You develop a callousness, man. The pain, there's like that maternal instinct. I deal with young men whose mothers will just, I can't not pick up the phone for little Johnny.
That's right.
And
That's
you try to tell him, man, like,
Yeah.
in my own experience, I say, I think Bones probably would have killed me if he just kept sending me money, So that was part of it, man. And that is part of it, right?
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. Yeah, the family deal. Well, what we got is we understand, when we're in a program of recovery, a lot of times we find out that the problem is enabling, right? I was told, in my particular case, I was told that for the first year of my recovery, I needed to lose the numbers that I had in my phone and leave my family alone, tell them I'm out of pocket for a year until I get a good foundation of sobriety. And that was tough, man. I didn't think I could do that, but I did. I did do it. But the deal is that when you are used to a certain lifestyle, which you are and I was, uh, that's where the warm fuzzy comes from. It does, other people can look and say, "Oh, what a shame that he lives like that." But if it's the only thing it's like home. We go back to what we know. We go back to that misery because it's our comfort spot. Um, so the bottom line is, people, places, and things need to change in order for you to uh, to find out who you really are, and to learn the new skills that you did not learn the first time or through your whole life, which means, taking better care of yourself, not doing the things to yourself that are bad. And it's just a foreign language. I mean, I got so used to living a certain way, as you did, that it was home. When there was no place else to go and nothing else to do, I'd go and I'd get a bottle because I knew what that was going to do. That was going to take me out of thinking about all this stuff. So anyway, the relapse thing continues. It goes on and on and on a couple of times more, and then what happens?
Well, what's coming up for me right now, and so you talked about how you were told. I'll never forget the first time that I was suggested that you go out of pocket for a year, in your words, right?
Yeah.
That I was told not to call my dad for 1 year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That. I mean, that wasn't happening.
Sure.
You're what we call a 1%er, Tony.
Yeah, of
You know
course.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Pain.
Well, there
is the
was no one
initial.
left. Everybody did leave in my case, so there was no one to call.
Well, that's really, really hard when you got,
Yeah.
a bones.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
And it's
totally.
suggested that you don't call that man for 1 year.
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, okay, buddy. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you what you want to hear, man.
I
And then
know.
as soon as I go back, of course, I'm calling my dad or I'm
Yeah.
calling,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I think you take the drugs and the alcohol out of the equation. And I've been running and gunning. Now I'm in this bougie little townhouse in downtown Savannah, right? And all of these thoughts that may have not been occurring for some time because of the addiction, right? Such as like the way I look, clothes, the things I'm wearing, right? Like as you grow up, you develop this image of self, right? And what looks good, how you dress, how you act, your cadence, the people you surround yourself with kind of turns you into this individual, this identity of self, right? But when you're out there running and gunning, you lose that completely because the only thing you're thinking about is the next hit, the next drink, whatever it is, right? So you come back in, you get a little time, right? Maybe 10, 20, 30 days or whatever. Then all of a sudden you start putting some weight on. And this is my experience. I shouldn't say you, right? I put some weight on. I get some clothes, man. I get a little walking around money, a little walking around sense.
Start to look good.
Yeah. And man, it's like I need validation, right? So then I start taking selfies, right? Because I got my new little shirt, I got my new little gear, right? I'm in rehab and I'm starting to actually be able to look in the mirror again. When you've been out there for so long and you can't look in the mirror, then you finally put some weight on and you start. It's just like, whatever that intrinsic validation, man, that you get from drugs and alcohol. When you take that out of the equation, I'm gonna fill it up with something else, man. And it's always material things, right? I think it comes to like the natural instincts for desire for money and for women, right? Sex and money and power and all of those things. And so I got 30 days sober. I got some new clothes. I got a cell phone. Well, I want to know what Susie 2, how you doing, is talking about, right? So I'm taking selfies and I'm sending it to her. And so that's it. I'm really not. Am I really done, right? Because what am I doing? I'm immediately putting something back in, right? That hole in the soul. You hear that, right? I'm filling the hole in the soul with women and material things, man. And so for somebody like you that stayed sober the first time around, I guess, man, we could trace it down to, have you had enough pain? Really?
Yeah. Well, we already know why. I mean, it was easier for me because I was 58 years old when I found recovery. And yeah, and I was pretty much toast. I mean, I was fried, and in my particular case, a program of recovery was, in fact, the last house on the block. I came in for all the wrong reasons. I came in because I wanted to get my family back. They had escaped slowly. And then finally, when the last kid was off to college, that was it. It was done. There was no one else in the house but me and a bunch of animals. And so I came into the program thinking, well, if I can get on my feet and, they'll hear about this and all that. But, I came into a program of Alcoholics Anonymous. So I got a sponsor. There's a lot of different methods for achieving sobriety if you're serious about getting sober. But I went to AA because it was suggested to me by a friend of mine who had gone to AA. And pretty much I just went to I just went to check the box off. I was going to go in and I was going to do a little bit of something, and it was going to look like I did the right thing, and they were going to come running back to me. Everything's fine. Let's resume what we're doing. That did not happen. I never saw the family again. I never saw them again. I never heard from them again. The ex married someone half my age, twice the money. The kids all escaped. They all have wonderful lives. Um, and it's wonderful. It's great. I discovered who I am eventually, which was the ultimate goal. But I didn't need to experiment anymore. I spent my whole life in an industry where everything was for free, right? I didn't have to go chasing after anything. I'm a musician, and pretty much when I say I was toast and then some. I was toast on steroids. So it was a relief to find a place where some people still had done even worse than I did. And when I heard some of the stories in the particular place I was at, when I heard some of their stories, I was like, "You got to be kidding me! I didn't do that, man. No one does that." Yet here it was. You know, some of these people had done stuff so horrendous that I said, "Well, maybe I need to stop right now." And I don't know if I had that exact thought in my head, but I got a sponsor right away, and he kept close tabs on what I claimed I wanted to do. I claimed I wanted to be sober, and he said, "Well, are you willing to do whatever it takes to do that?" Oh yeah, absolutely, good. Yeah, I'll do whatever it takes to do that. It only took a couple of days before I started questioning that. I was like, "Whoa, these people are serious. This is serious stuff. Getting sober." So you have to do things differently. You know, in Alcoholics Anonymous, they say you only have to change one thing. Okay, and what's that? Everything. You know, so I had my sponsor. My sponsors put me on a regimen to actually set out to change everything. Now here I am. I'm a guy that had a whole career where I made a lot of money. I did a lot of things, traveled, did all these great, well, I don't know, the subject to your anyway, I did all these things, and here I am, and I got a sponsor who's younger than me, and he's telling me what I need to do, and that's tough. That's tough. But see, he kept pointing out that all the literature and in the history of all the we have historical data, we have data. If you do certain things, you will achieve certain things because of it, and one of them is if you change people, places, and things, um, you will not get the triggers that you had so readily, so easily. And I saw that. Maybe it's because I was 58 years old. Maybe I had no more excuses, no more freshness, whatever. I saw that clearly. So I got to try this. So what the real problem was following his directions to the T. After a month of like what you, Adam, what you said about, you get put a little weight on, you feeling better, you're looking better, et cetera, et cetera. I thought, yeah, okay, I'm okay now. I got it. But like I said, I got a sponsor, and this guy is like really serious about his recovery. So he never lets up on me. Never. He's constantly pointing out when I'm like walking around thinking to myself, he's walking up to me from out of nowhere. He's hit me in the head, furrowed brow. He's reminding me that I'm lost in this fairyland up here in my head. And he's always telling me, you think too much. You got this debating society going on inside. That's why you drink. That's why you do everything you do. You think your world is all there is. So anyway, I was convinced pretty early on that the only way for me to get sober was to follow the instructions. So, but I sponsor a lot of men myself. But I do look at a lot of these younger guys, and I'm perplexed still to this day. How much are you going to take? How much pain do you want? How much are you going? A lot of these guys don't make it, right? We know that, right? A
Oh,
lot of these
absolutely.
guys die. They die. They tell you they want to get sober. They start looking good. Oh man, you look great, man. Oh, I'm so glad you're doing what you do. And then you're going to a meeting one morning. It's like, oh yeah, he kicked last night. What? Whoa, 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 whoa! I just talked to him yesterday. Yeah, this happens a lot, and these are from people that want to get sober. They want to get clean. They want to get off drugs. They want to get So we revisit the things that make us feel at home. The relapse part is very, very strange because it isn't part of recovery. There's no part of recovery that says you must relapse. I mean, you make a choice to relapse, like Adam said.
I think that you say you made a decision early on, right? But when I hear you say you were 58, Tony,
Yeah, yeah,
that's 30 years
yeah.
of running and
Oh,
gunning and partying and being with women and living. You
well,
did
the women part, I was married. I wasn't
okay.
running around
Well,
with women.
whatever.
The thing is, I was not spared the extra 10 or 15 years. I went through the school of hard knocks.
You were 58. I was 29 years
That's
old.
right.
I was 29 years old, Tony.
That's right.
The other 15 from when I started using,
Yeah.
so from 15 to 30, I did nothing but rob and steal and do drugs,
Yeah.
man. I couldn't hold a job. I couldn't have a vehicle. I couldn't have a license. I couldn't hold a relationship. It was misery for 15 years.
That's right.
So now I'm 29 years old and I'm starting to live my life for the first time.
That's right.
All right. So now I'm getting attention from different people because all I did was I was in trap houses and the street, man. Sure, I'd get an apartment with a girl and there was some good times. It wasn't all, complete terror and misery. But when I think about 58 years old compared to 29, there's something that needs to be spoken about for that, because by the time I got a year sober, right, now I'm finally getting a vehicle and I'm getting relationships and I'm like still trying to figure out who I am, man, and it's just the relation, but that 30 years between 29 and 58 and getting sober, man. I had a conversation with the kid the other day, right? um, got a lot of guys, man. Got a lot of cool. Savannah's a really, really great place, man, for recovery. They always talk about where the most drugs and the most alcohol is where the best recovery is, man. And I've been in recovery programs in Massachusetts and in Florida, up and down the East Coast, man. So 3 states really, but Savannah has been different, man. Because we have this community of people, man, and some are serious, some aren't. But when you surround yourself with the people who are doing the deal, as we say, right? You share in this common bond, right? You like to say people who went to hell and made it out of their own volition.
Yep.
So that's a unique bond that we share, man.
That's right.
And I get passionate about that. That I do appreciate the introduction, man. I don't really even think about myself like that. To hear you say a fisher of men,
And that's what you are,
that's
dude.
tough for my ego, man.
Yeah, well, you got an ego. You better work on that.
Yeah,
But I tell
yeah.
you what, I'm watching, and
Yeah.
you are a fisher of men.
Well, that has a lot to do with the way I was raised
No,
and the love
whatever.
that my father gave me, man.
Yeah.
I've always been like that.
Yeah.
We have these concrete personality traits, and one of mine is I'm outgoing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's good for these men that you're
Sure.
like that. So.
Sure. And so I'm having a conversation with this guy the other day, man. And I'm just kind of explaining some of my recent struggles, and we get to talking, man. And it's the same thing every time for me, man. Put the drugs and the alcohol down, right? You get a good job, you get some money, you get a car, you get a Harley, you meet some boys, right? Whatever. But then it's always a female for me, in my experience, right? And so I'm sharing that with this man that I've got to know pretty good recently. And he's explaining to me how when he was young, he grew up in Savannah, and he was talking about, mid early 20s, the main objective at all times was to go out and meet girls, right? Now they were smoking and they were drinking and they were popping pills, but that was the starter. But the objective of every night was smoke, drink, pop some pills, and go get the chicks.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And so that was really never on my agenda
Mm-hmm.
throughout my whole life, because the drugs and alcohol that I was doing weren't the same as what he was doing. Mine were the top of the top shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do those drugs, it's you end up you want to be alone. You don't want to share your drugs or whatever it is, man. And so I'm having this interesting experience while I'm talking to this man about trying to relate to that being the main objective, right? Because by the time I get to the point where I want to meet a girl, there ain't no girl that's, what am I going to do? Shoot her a message and say, you know what I mean? I don't have a license. I was never able to do that. So now, with some sobriety, with a little weight, with a little money, with all these opportunities that come, you attract a different class of female, right? And so I think that that's like this relation that I'm having to patterns of behavior that lead up to choosing to go back out, man, right? Choosing to get high. And as I was talking to this man, it was just like, man, I never had that. The main objective was only to get high, and then fighting and through that, man. So it's just it's interesting to hear you say, man, that I know that it's tough for you to relate to that because you were 58 and I was 29, man, and so I have this internal struggle that, because I got guys that tell me, you got to put this away, you got to stay away from that, you know what I mean? And it's always the same things, man.
Yeah.
The women and the power and the money, right? Back to the instincts, man.
Yeah.
Right? Misdirected instincts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you finally arrive at this last point where you've had enough, what led to that?
In 2018.
Yeah. No, this last. I'm sorry.
Okay, so now we're talking about now.
Yeah, right now.
All right. Well, I thought I had pain, in 2018, sure, homelessness and isolation, right? Loneliness, as few know, right? Because I've always been outgoing. Even through all this, man, I still had friends back home and friends in Florida and friends that would check in on me. But this last point, man, I got out of county jail in Florida. I came back to Savannah, did this whole process, went through the program, stayed sober for about 3.5 years, something like that, man. And this is a tough story to tell, man, especially to the world, if you will, or whoever's listening, man. Those who know me know, but I had a new baby. I was in a relationship with a young woman that I met with 1 year sober, okay, and we just had a new baby. Now I'm 3 years sober at the time that my little girl was born, and I would sit here and tell you that I was doing everything that I could do. You seen me, I mean, I was working the deal, man. I was doing my best to carry a message, man, and maybe that's not even true. Doing my best. I believed that I was. And, I got involved with another organization that was some men that I looked up to that reminded me of my father, and things that I wanted to do to have fun, as you say, Tony, right? And it was just selfishness, man. I joined this organization, man, and started traveling the country and doing things that I wanted to do to have fun, man. And it was a great group of guys, don't get me wrong, man. What in the beginning, it was what I thought that I wanted.
And they were sober, right?
Yeah, these guys were sober too, man. They're cool dudes, man. These guys rides Harley and they help people. They do, man. And I somewhere along the line, my perception switched, and I didn't think I was supposed to be with them. I thought it's always something more. No matter what I have my entire life, it's always more, better, different, and it was the same thing with my relationship. My mind tells me that it's not good enough. you know I just need better. I need more. It's just that internal lie that tells me that it's not good enough. What I have is not good enough. I got a brand new Harley Davidson and the exhaust isn't loud enough. I got a beautiful girl at home that takes care of the family and the laundry and the cooking, and her tits aren't big enough. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, bro. I have a good job, but this guy's getting paid more money than me, and my brain tells me that I need more. I need better. I need different. And it causes so much pain inside of me that my ego will numb it out, and it will confuse me, and it will allow me to think that sneaky, cunning, and baffling, right? It will trick me into doing things that get me, and I'm manipulative, right? I'll manipulate. I'll be able to lie to the groups of people around me when all the time I'm just trying to progress further. There's like a part in some of our literature and it says, aren't we just a producer of confusion rather than harmony? Right? At times we'll be nice and we'll be good and we'll do all these things that make it look like we're trying to be of service. But really it's all about self, man. It's all about me. and I need to do what I need to do to progress my life because it's never good enough, man. So that's kind of what happened, man. In the best general way that I can explain, what I had wasn't good enough.
Mm.
And I was at this point where I needed more and I needed different, man. And that's the thing about drugs and alcohol, bro, is that they work. You know, we come into this community and we're taught that drinking isn't the problem. You don't have a drinking problem. You have a thinking problem. The drinking and the dope is the solution to the problem.
Mm-hmm.
What's the problem? The problem is between my ears. It's the way that I think.
That's right.
And my brain tells me that I'm not as good as you.
Okay, so that moves us into a next phase of understanding about the disease. So we do this repeatedly, and what? We don't learn anything? Or at some point, we start to become aware that we've been doing the same shit over and over again. And this thinking problem, now all of a sudden, I want to stay on top of it, right?
I think it would be, I think it wouldn't be fair if we said we didn't learn anything.
Oh, well, we're learning that we're not getting anywhere, that's for sure, right?
Um,
If we do it over and over and over again, right? And we already know that we're not supposed to do certain things, what is happening?
well, you establish a new level of pain. The pain, you forget the pain, right? You love to
Okay.
say that,
I
right?
like that.
Alcoholism,
I like
incredibly
that.
short memory. The
Yeah, I
further
like
I
that.
get away from the pain and the demoralization, right? I forget.
Okay.
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 And so, in my experience, the further I get away from the pain, the closer I get to achieving that more, right?
Okay.
That goal of obtaining, you know, prestige and power and sex, the woman, the girl, the car, what I want, you know?
Okay.
And somewhere along the line, I'm able to accept that I'm not getting that. I'm only digging deeper,
Uh-huh.
right? And what happens? I choose to change the way that I feel with.
Okay, so we go through another level of pain, and then eventually we hit the level of pain we hit is sufficient to be called a significant experience.
Okay.
All right,
Sure.
right? It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And that significant experience is one that surely catches my attention for good and all, right? Isn't that what a significant experience is? It's
Uh,
something that I surely cannot ignore.
I will agree with your terminology as a significant experience. Some people call it a moment of clarity.
Okay, well, yeah, whatever it
I'm
is.
choosing to call it ferocious, torturous,
Okay,
barbaric
good,
pain.
good. It's a significant experience. It's one I surely noticed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I've done this thing 1,000 times, and then suddenly I've raised through voluntary actions my pain level to a point where I can no longer ignore it. Now I'm really hurting. And hopefully I'm not behind bars and I haven't killed anybody. Okay, so all that stuff it has to be included in
That's right.
this. All right, so we get to the significant experience, and now we realize that holy shit, I guess I haven't been paying attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we come into this whole new phase where we understand that relapse is going to keep occurring if I ain't watching. Okay, because I've been on autopilot for so damn long. Right? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Sure. I'm following you.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know you are. I mean, no, I just want to make sure I don't know anything. I've learned this the hard way,
Right.
right? So the deal is when I start, like you pointed out, Adam pointed out that I don't have a drinking problem. I have a thinking problem. So if I thought, if I didn't think the way I think, I wouldn't have done to myself what I've done. So now I reach a point where I need to start paying attention to what I'm thinking.
Right.
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 So in certain literatures, they say things like you can smash the notion, smash the idea. Some people ain't got that kind of willpower in the beginning. But the thing is, if you fly on autopilot, if you are on autopilot, which is pretty much what we're on when we're doing this stuff over and over again, we're on autopilot. We just are reacting to the same old shit. I keep hitting the microphone. We're reacting
Don't
to
hit the
this.
mic, Tony.
I'm trying not to. I'm really trying not to. We're reacting to the same shit that always the frustration. I feel less than. I'm less than. but they don't understand. I know a lot, and yes, I'm less than, and yet I'm less than. I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. What is it with these people? Don't they know who I am? So this doesn't work when you're in a room full of bullshitters that are better than you, right? So I find this oasis, which is a bunch of guys in my case that had done it all, heard it all. They heard my story a lot, and they told me, "Well, why don't you, right, Adam?
Yeah, take the cotton out of your spoon and put it in your mouth.
There you go. Let's hear. Let's listen. Let's listen." Right. So we start realizing that the problem has been I've got this thing up here which has been running the whole show, and it might not be giving me the information I need. It might be some good information, but it might not. It's true, but is it true for me? Right. So now we're into the spiritual realm. So now we start going into the spiritual realm. Okay. So my relapse is caused because I'm not paying attention. I'm doing the same shit over and over and over again. And I'm like, dude, what's going on here? What's happening here? And people are trying to help me. They're trying to point it out to me, but I'm not hearing them either. They said, stop, 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 put it down. Just stop, put the shovel down, stop digging, stop doing what you're doing. I am. I'm trying to. I can't. And what we have then is a stalemate. Okay. So you got to get to the point where you have had an experience that surely catches your attention, at which point you start observing how you think. If you see how you think, you go through a whole nother level of frustration because, hey, this is me. This is what I do. Oh, that's embarrassing. That's terrible that I think that way. But luckily, if you're in a good program of recovery, people sympathize. They understand. We've done the same thing you did. You just can't stop. You got to keep doing it under any and all circumstances. Observe what you do. You're in boot camp. You're starting all over again. So anyway, I'm diverting.
I was talking to a kid the other day, Tony. We both know him, man. He's a good buddy of both of ours. He's in school right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's doing real good, man. He's top of his class, man. Dean's list. He's talking about, man. I scored 98 on my calculus test, right?
Very cool.
And he said, man, it's a real interesting deal because it's kind of the same as the program, where all I have to do is the work. And when I need help, I ask the teacher. Well, I don't understand what X and Y over the carry the C.
Good
You know what
stuff.
I mean?
Yeah, good.
And so I think that I can't do it because I'm not smart enough, right? Or whatever it is, right? I have contempt prior to investigation, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yep.
But here's the deal. I did the work and I graduated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I passed the test. I
There
passed
you
the
go.
class. I
There
got
you
the A, whatever it is. Now, to relating that, to what we do,
Mm-hmm.
there's no grades, right? There's no A's. There's no graduating, if you will. But it was very refreshing. I was easily able to relate to what he was saying.
Sure. He was following instruction.
That's
He
exactly
was
what I'm trying
following
to say.
instruction. So, in other words, all of this stuff is the same, no matter where you go. Everything's the same, right? If I do the right thing happens. If I do esteemable things happen. If I follow the instruction, the outcome is usually what I'm doing the instruction for. So I go to a program of recovery and they give me all kinds of information to work with. But what do? Ooh, I'm thinking to myself, I nod my head a lot. Oh, yeah, everything's good. Yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then I don't do it. All right. So the quickest path, the quickest way between 2 points, of course, is a straight line. So when they tell you to do something in a program of recovery, if you're not asking what are you up against, you're going to be surprised because the resistance ain't them.
What do you mean by that? What you're up against? When you ask them what you're up against,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
Yeah, you need to find out
what am I up against.
You're up against you.
Okay.
So here's what they're going to say. They're going to say you're going to want to not do it after a while because it's not easy.
Do what?
You're going to want to not follow the instruction exactly the way it's written or the way it should in order for you to see a good outcome. All right. So we are known to freaking cut corners, and
In
we
life,
want.
humans, it's a human nature.
Oh yeah, it's human nature.
Fastest,
Oh
easiest.
yeah, without a
Yeah,
doubt,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
But we in particular look for what is termed the easier, softer way.
Sure,
Okay,
sure.
I really want it. I want to do it in such a way. I want to have an outcome that not only is helping me, but you're totally impressed by what I've done.
Oh yeah.
See, this is a big issue. Okay,
Oh, absolutely.
so rather than just getting sober, I need to have you guys acknowledge that I'm sober, and I need you to give me a pat on the back and an attaboy while all that's going on. Now, all this stuff is great because, like your analogy with your friend who's in the program and also is getting straight A's because he follows the instruction. Um, this is where we start to realize that you can't possibly relapse if you don't lapse. Okay, so this, of course, is a general opinion in programs of recovery. If you do again what you've been doing to stay sober or clean, it doesn't happen. I mean, okay, so I did a whole bunch of stuff yesterday that kept me sober and clean yesterday. If I do it again today, there's a good chance it's going to work again. All right, but if I'm trying to do it cutting corners and with the easiest, softer way, I'll probably eliminate this. I'll probably, like I'll stop going to this place on Monday and Thursday. I'll go somewhere else because I want to do something, So I'm running my own damn program. Okay. This is why relapse happens a lot. Okay. So, I see how this works. I get it. And then I proceed to rewrite the whole structure of the instructions. I can do that better than they told me how to do it, right? So subconsciously, I rewrite the instruction, and I've already tainted. There's got to be resistance. You've got to know the pain in order to know the pleasure. All right. So I call it particular. I got this from somewhere else. I mean, but I call it purging pain. All right.
I love that. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, buddy, I've used that throughout
Yeah.
this whole process, man.
Yeah.
A guy will call hurting real bad, and
Yeah.
I'll just say, man, lean into the purging pain. That's part of
That's
the
right.
deal. I
That's
call
right.
you crying.
That's
I
right.
call you crying. Wham, boo, boo, boo. This is happening. You would say,
Yeah.
it's purging pain.
It's purging pain.
It's purging pain.
I mean, you got to go out of it the same way you went into it, and that was slowly and meticulously. I did bad things to myself slowly and at a certain pace. Well, guess what? You ain't gonna get out real fast. You got to undo that stuff. And in spiritual circles, it's called God's friction. Okay, time is God's friction, and that's usually what is involved when you're having purging pain, because everybody wants relief. When do we want it, Adam?
Right now, brother.
Oh boy, I would love it right now. Let me have it right now. I'll do all the bullshit later on, but give me the relief now. Okay. And this is actually a mindset. This is a mindset. People actually try and get away with that. So the purging pain doesn't stop. You got to go through what you got to undo what you did to yourself. So the resistance is always you. Okay. So what happens is people that they don't stick around long enough to find out, okay, here's what I'm up against. I'm up against me. All right. If they don't stick around long enough to find out, they always think it's an external thing. They always think, I keep hitting this mic.
You better hit the button for
I'm
you.
sorry.
Wah, wah, wah. Hit the wah, wah,
I'm
wah
gonna hit
button.
the one time. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. So what happens is, I'm thinking it's external stuff. It's like that guy over there is causing me to have a resentment. I ain't going to the meeting tomorrow because I know he's going to be there. I ain't going to do this because of this or that and the other. So I always got externals. Always the problem. I'm not looking inside. I'm not seeing the physical feeling I have because of what I'm thinking. Okay, all this shit up here turns into physical stuff. I mean, you might not have noticed it. It took me a long time to notice it. I'm not talking to Adam. I'm talking to all of us. You might not have noticed that when you have a particularly unsettling thought, oh, I hate this person, or I'm going to kick somebody's ass, or this, that, and I'm afraid of not getting mine. This guy is, you have a feeling somewhere in your body. If you're not watching that, that shit is killing you. and it's creating. I forget what the chemical is. I mean, some kind of acid that it breaks you down little by little,
LSD?
ages you. What is it?
LSD?
LSD? No,
Yeah,
no, that's a good acid.
Yeah.
But that's not what I'm talking about.
You said me against me.
Yeah,
right?
It's me against me.
So I work with these guys, man. I got a good group of cats that I work with, man. One of these guys is a badass, right? And I love him. He's helped me out a lot, right?
Sure.
He's been recently experiencing a little difficulty at home, making a new move, right? He experienced some pain, and I got to be real gentle because it's very easy. Attraction rather than promotion, right?
That's right.
And when you're doing the deal, you don't even know that you're being attractive.
That's right.
Right? You call me a fisher of men, dude. Man.
Well, you're built in. You got it built in. Everybody doesn't.
This life deal, right? 85% of it, right, is attitude.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. One thing that God has given me is a positive attitude.
Well, there you go.
Even when I was out there, even when I would wake up and weep in the morning, right? Our buddy, a good buddy of ours, he was the first one I heard it. He said I would wake up and whimper. My first noises I would make up in the morning. I remember that shit.
Sure.
Right? Sure. And so this new life, right? This new clarity, right? The longer you stay sober, the gifts that come in are phenomenal, man. Right? Yeah. And then you get this community of young, in my experience, right? The men that showed me sobriety was cool. Mm-hmm. Because I thought knocking people out was cool.
Yeah.
I thought having the most potent dope was cool. Right? The things that I labeled as cool. And then I come in and I see guys who have businesses and wives and trucks and the stuff that they got through sobriety, right? And so the more you do the deal, the more you become self-aware, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's it, right? I love the saying that recovery, right? The road to recovery is nothing more than a map that leads to greater and greater consciousness. Sure. Right? Sure. And so as you start to become this person, this human, you're coming into self, right? You get to breathe. That same feeling that dope and alcohol did to you, right? Yep. It was finally just okay to be me. When you're starting to achieve that in sobriety, man, something different happens. It's not just confidence, it's humility, right? And I think, man, there's plenty of people out there that would love to explain that this is all about humility, man, right? Yeah. This is all about humility, man. And so going back to this man who I love very much, who I'm seeing him struggling, just being completely absorbed in self. He is a fisher of men, not in a program, right? He is a leader. He's able to, these guys look up to him, man, and he's so in self, man, and it's causing him pain. So I do my little thing, man. I'm good at connecting, right? I'm passionate, right? And so I'm spitting this to my buddy, man, and I'm telling him, man, like, it's me against me, bro. Especially on the workplace. You're in the job site and everybody's worried about the next guy. Mm. Oh, he's doing this. He's doing that. Why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Mm-hmm. When I get up and go to work, what makes my days go by the most easy without against the grain is when I just worry about Adam, right? Especially at work. And so I try to tell that to these guys, man. Don't worry about what Joe Blow from Idaho's doing. Don't worry about what Adam's doing. When I worry about me and I put the work in at my job, then those guys see that, right? That's right. How come you're doing that? They ask me questions, man, right. Why? And it's like, man, you show up and you smile, man. That's right. Positivity, man. That's right. You go to Starbucks, right. You smile, hey, you compliment, you pay compliments to the people that you go throughout the day, man, yeah. And whether I know it or not, it's causing this gratitude in me, this joy in me, man, when I'm able to see how beautiful life really is, man. When I think,
so you get to be a beacon of light is what it is, right? So you get to do these things and it inspires other men because they want what you got. Okay. Now,
do you know what it's like when somebody comes up to you, Tony, and they remember your name? Yeah. You're wherever you are, yeah. And you know who that person is. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you come up, Tony, how you doing, brother?
Yeah,
Smile, engage, connect.
that's right.
Do you remember what that feels like, man?
Oh yeah,
When you
feels
come,
great.
dude, that's a beautiful feeling, right?
And it happens a lot.
I remember guys that did that to me.
Yeah.
What's up, Adam? And then you're like, damn,
That's
he
right.
fucking remembered
Well,
my
there's
name.
a lot of that in the program. You know, they let you know that you're a person that they recognize. You're part of this. We're doing a deal together. That's a very important aspect of any program of recovery, is that you are included in something for the first time in your life.
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, do unto others as you'd have them. This whole thing is, you can take the dogma out of any of the gospel, take the dogma out of any of the scripture, and you'd have a whole shitload of nothing but common sense. Okay, um, you know, my whole job. I realize it finally. My whole existence on this planet at my age, it's like, why am I still here? Well, somebody reminds me quite often, another friend of mine, well, you're still here because your work ain't done. There's still something you got to do. And when I think about it, well, you know what? I'm doing a lot, man. I'm actually aware that my task is to help other people right now. I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. It's not something that is a fleeting moment and it comes to me, oh, look what I'm doing. No, it ain't like that. Now, because of doing this for 15 years, I mean, I'm aware that my next day is going to include a whole bunch of what I used to call service work, but it isn't service work. It's me being a fellow human. This is, in my opinion, we're all supposed to have realized that that's our job to begin with, to be your brother's keeper, to be your sister's keeper, right? I mean, we're all supposed to have realized that, but we haven't. We haven't realized it. So some of us have to go the low road to get rebuilt, and then when we come out the oven, that time. We've got we walk out of the ashes with a new understanding. Oh, I knew this, and now I see it. Okay, so you got to get burnt to a crisp. But if you want to get burnt to a crisp and then continue doing the same old shit again, you're just gonna die. And usually those people do end up dying. They die. Okay, so the bottom line is that my spiritual, well, here's the spirit. The spirit is this: drinking is bad, drugging is bad, sober and clean is good. I got that from my sponsor. Okay. Um, I am not going to change anything unless I'm aware that I'm doing it. Okay. It ain't going to happen. It just ain't going to. Nothing changes until something changes. Right. And we got,
I like that better.
yeah, I mean, we got all these little wonderful little acronyms, do what you do and get what you get, etc. Time takes time. All this stuff would be foreign to people outside of a recovery program. And I'm not talking about something, where look, a recovery program includes you wanting to know what is truly going on in this world. Not the politics, not the material, what why what is going on here, and that usually involves you learning more about yourself and your fellow human beings. I mean, when I feel comfortable about myself, I certainly understand you better. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, it only took me, 5, 6 years, 7 years to get to the point where the door opened and I started to realize, yeah, it ain't about me, but I'm included. Okay, so let's find out where I actually fit in. And I started to feel more comfortable in my own skin with that attitude. Okay, like, Adam just pointed out that when you are more aware of yourself and you just worry about what you're doing, and it's not in a selfish way. I'm taking care of Adam business, I'm taking care of Tony business, and you're less on the judgment of the externals. Those people all around you, they start looking at you and they say, wow, well, okay, I like what he's doing, or I hear what he's saying, or, But if it's all about you and you're living in fear and you're trying to get yours before he gets his, and you have an attitude that money is, I have lack. I lack this. I lack that. It's all about your life is lack. You'll be lacking till the day you die. So, Wayne Dyer said Dr. Wayne Dyer said something years ago, which I never forgot. The first time I heard it,
When I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change.
and listen to that. Listen to that. When I change the way I look at things, the things I look at change.
Perception.
And then I'm in recovery and I read in recovery and I hear from guys that have been around for a long time that I have a disease of perception.
My circumstances have absolutely nothing to do with my serenity.
Ain't that something?
That's a little.
So how do we learn that? Okay, because you certainly can't learn that by relapsing, right? You
I
can't
don't
learn
know.
it by relapsing. So you finally have a significant experience which calm your ass down. Something throws a net over your ass, and you're willing to go through all the angst, the boredom, the daily whatever. You fit the spiritual program into your day. You make it happen. Okay? And there's a lot of ways of doing that.
There's the analogy about it's not for people who want it, it's not for people who need it, it's for people who do it, right?
People that do it.
Now, you talked about willingness and you said you can't. I heard you say can't, but what's coming up is like, it doesn't matter whether you believe it or not, right? If you take a 20-pound dumbbell and you lift that man, what, 20 times a day,
Okay.
30 times a day, if you lift the dumbbell, it doesn't matter whether or not you believe the muscle is going to grow.
That's right.
It's going to do it. It's going to grow.
Do it.
So that's what we do.
That's right.
You do it.
That's right.
And what is doing it? Right?
Right.
For me, pain was the admission price.
Wow.
Thank God that there's places that will take me in when I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Because then here comes the rules again.
Yeah.
No phone, no girl, no this,
No,
don't wear
nothing.
your hat, whatever, man.
Our house, our rules. We play by house rules.
Am
or
I
you
willing
get the hell
to
out.
follow the rules?
Yeah.
I never have been.
Well,
never in my entire life.
And this is part of the conquering of the relapse problem, is when you finally realize that on autopilot you've just been doing shit that makes absolutely no sense. It's contrary to what you claim you want to do.
Bro.
I want recovery. I want clarity. I want peace in my life. And then I go ahead and I chase somebody who I shouldn't be chasing. I chase a thing I shouldn't chase. I never stop and let what's supposed to be in my life catch up. I never do that.
Remember,
I'm ahead of all.
You would say, have you had enough pain?
Have you had enough pain?
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
New guy, I love it. You go to the same place over and over again, right? We go to our meetings, we go here, and you see the same people, right?
That's right.
You see somebody new, they're new.
That's right.
I remember what it was like when my boys came up to me, right? And he stuck his hand out to me, right? And introduced me, that feeling, right? Of being a part of, because that's what I wanted my whole life.
Sure, being a part of.
The alcohol and the drugs allowed me to be a part of.
Right. I want to be a part of.
The drunker I get, the more that I feel okay to be me. Yep. And then, you get these romances, because love is the ultimate drug.
Sure.
Love is the ultimate drug. That's what we all want. We all want to be loved, no matter what. And everything comes from fear, right? Fear of not getting what I want, to be loved, and fear of losing what I have, love, right? Yep. And so I come in, and then I see guys, I get this love, right? You hear these little sayings all the time. You loved me until I could love myself, man. You loved me until I could love myself, right?
Yep.
And so, have you had enough pain?
Have you had enough pain?
We keep talking about relapse, going back out. Dude, I just think it comes down to you're either done or you're not. And I can believe that I'm done.
That's the bottom line.
I can believe that I'm done. I did, right?
Yeah.
But somewhere deep down in the back of my psyche, that little tiny seed, just even if it's a grain of sand, I can smoke weed again someday.
Well, all that comes down to is we're going to rewrite the instructions.
Sure.
It's all simply a matter of changing the shit that works into what I want to do. And,
absolutely.
And none of that has to happen. In my particular case, I didn't drink and I didn't drug, And I learned the hard way about relationships with people because my sponsor, he would laugh, man. He said, "I suggest you don't do that," and I do it anyway. And then, it didn't work out. This, that, and the other thing. Oh, I suggest you go here and try this. It's not me. I don't want to do that. Okay, do what you want to do. I do what I want to do. It don't work out. This when you got people, when people have your business and best interest at heart, it's really hard to get a newcomer to recognize that, because we do that stuff not for us. Benefits are plenty for us when we do it, but we don't do it for us. We do it because we truly remember what it was like when somebody did it for us. I remember what it was like when a handful of men took time out of their schedules to help me. I remember that. Okay. And, a lot of newcomers don't ever get to see that because they don't stop enough, you know, for me to grab them or for him to grab them, for any of us to grab them and say, hey, let us help you. And they're gone. I mean, this happens all the time. So for the most part, the second that you forget what you did to get feeling better is the second that you're screwed again, because the man you were will surely drink again. That's a fact. So if you go back because of a warm fuzzy, of a fond memory, you've recanted on turning to face the strange. You've given up on that whole thing because that's what this is about. This is about me finding out who I really am, not who I think I am, and that includes discovery on the first level of stuff that I had no idea about me, and my fears, my wants, my real needs. Uh, you know, you know what I want and what I need is like a far cry from each other.
Can you say that you're never going to drink again?
I can say that I'm not going to drink today.
All right.
That's what I can
All
say.
right.
And
Yeah.
I have no desire to drink again, but I don't know. We had this discussion yesterday when we were talking. Somebody dying. Somebody. I don't think so. I've seen people die. I've seen situations. I don't know. I mean, it would have to be something. It would have to be something. This is the worst part about it. About that whole question is I love being drunk.
Thank you.
I just love being drunk.
Absolutely.
So it's weird. It's weird. So can I drink? No, absolutely.
We're not cured. We never cured.
Nah,
Never cured.
it'll never happen. It's a funny thing when you're an addict or a drug, an addict or a drunk. I mean, you're never gonna not be one of them. I mean, because it's what you do. It's what you've done. You've already pickled yourself. You're not a cucumber anymore. It's not gonna happen. You're not going back. It doesn't happen. So the best you got is you learn how to cherish your new lifestyle, which I have. I've learned how to do that. But if I think about drinking enough, I'm like, God, man, a scotch with a beer, a beer with a scotch chaser. I mean, I could romance myself into salivating. It's all Pavlov's bullshit again. Uh, but no, I mean, I've learned my lesson. I know because I pay attention to how I think now, and that is true. I do.
You know what always bothered me?
What?
Guys that would come back in and they would say, "I haven't drank in 12 years. I'm sober. I'm sober 4 years. I haven't drank in 12,
Yeah.
but I'm only 6 years sober because I did this, that, or the other thing, right?"
Yeah.
And so, what's coming up for me right now is like, I haven't drank in 5 years.
Right.
I haven't stuck a needle in my arm.
Right.
I love to shoot whiskey
Right.
and shoot dope.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But I didn't do that.
Hmm.
I started with the weed.
Yeah.
Nothing happened.
Yeah.
I smoked a joint. Nothing happened. Right? I didn't experience consequences immediately. But I'll tell you one thing that did happen.
Mm-hmm.
That switch, that allergy
Sure.
that Silkworth talks about,
Sure.
was flipped.
Sure.
And it becomes progressive.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A good buddy of mine who I really look up to, man, helped me a lot in this program, man, says that progressive disease, right? Progressive illness, progressive, ultimately fatal. But you know what else is progressive? Recovery is progressive.
That's right.
Right? So I love that.
That's
So
better
up to
and
this
better.
point in my life right now, I haven't drank or shot intravenous drugs in
That's right.
5 years.
That's right.
I started smoking a little weed
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was just smoking weed. If you had some, take a hit off the joint, whatever. Then I started buying my own little bags, right? So it's a lie. Starts with a lie, right? Then we're immediately back into the cycle of lying,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Well,
Now-
fibbing. It started. Fibbing.
Yeah, white lie,
Yeah.
right? And then it progresses.
Yeah.
But for me, I knew that I couldn't do opiates because I truly believe that if I do an opiate, I'll die.
Yeah.
I knew that if I drink, I'll go to shooting dope again and I'll die.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to die.
That's right.
Because I have different. I have a little girl now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I justify it with it's weed.
Yeah.
So I'm smoking weed. I get honest with the people around me, the closest people around me, and I tried to come to the rooms using marijuana. But boy, oh boy, did you guys! It just I think right now where my God is in that real feeling in between wrong or right.
Mm.
You know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take long. We call it intuition.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say
intuitive understanding.
Go with your gut.
That's right.
It's either good or bad, wrong or right.
That's right.
That's
we are born with that.
Immediately I feel that,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And I'm going to come up with 1,000 little lies, any justification that I can come up with to train myself into thinking this is okay. So I come back, I'm smoking weed. It just doesn't feel right, man. And then my mind is able to switch to call you guys fill in the blank. I was like, man, these guys are all dorks. This guy's full of shit, self-righteous. I'm resentful, right? That's where it is, man. That's where it lies too. Resentment. I'm judging you. If I'm judging you and I find you guilty and I get angry, there's literature that talks about that resentment.
You spot it, you got it.
Is the number one offender, right? I get mad at you, man. And that anger allows me to do things that I wouldn't normally do, man. And so I come back in, man, and the pain slowly becomes great. The drugs start getting stronger, man. And it's the same thing every single time, man. It's the same thing every single time. Consequences for me. I will not stop unless I experience some consequences.
Consequences is everything, brother.
The consequences that I experienced this time.
Someone's got to throw a net over my ass, brother.
The consequences that I experienced this time were some that I've never experienced before, man. On
another note here, Adam, we have been recording this, right?
Yeah.
And not one person has seen it on Facebook. So we're going to, you guys out there in Facebook and YouTube land, you will see this when it's uploaded to Facebook and YouTube. But for some strange reason, the on switch didn't go the way it was supposed to. We're into 1 hour and 17 minutes of this podcast right now, and we're getting all kinds of good stuff down. But everybody is messaging me. Okay, yeah. Shane wants to know, are we going to post? Angela said, what's going on? I'm missing something. Are you live? Let's see. Chris says, well, I guess you guys ain't doing it. Stephen Mosley cannot get on the podcast. Michael Bryson podcast won't play. Chris Todd, hello. Hello. So people are trying to see it, but it's just not doing, it's doing it here. It's just not doing it there. So yes, and Shane wants to know, are you going to post a video on Facebook? Yes, we are. Yes, both. Yes, both. Both. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, buddy.
I say we delete it and
start all over
again. Let's just do a little live music.
We can do another one. Yeah, some music. We can do the space guy from what is it? Yep. So have we achieved anything at all on the levels of relapse and why people relapse or why in particular?
No, we're never going to achieve that. It doesn't matter.
All right, there you go. Okay, so
it's the same thing as a spiritual experience, right? What is the definition of a spiritual experience? It changes for everybody who has them.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So the same thing. I could come up with 100 different reasons.
Okay.
Resentment, ego, fear, all of these character defects, man. At the end of the day, man.
If you want to drink, you're going to drink.
We talk about what really hurts, what really affects me, Tony. I think that I had a spiritual experience. I think that I had a spiritual awakening in retrospect,
You have. Oh, you definitely have.
You think so?
Oh, I think.
What about a personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism?
Well, I'll tell you what, you calm down quite a bit. I'm talking about, for the most part, you don't do the Miley Cyrus shit too much anymore.
Sure.
But
Johnny Depp, I prefer Johnny Depp. Thanks.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is we, maybe age has something to do with it. We start to grow up. There's certain things I can't do anymore physically, whatever. But you've calmed down quite a bit, and you have a fond memory of what it was like when you were doing the right thing.
Exactly.
And you want more of that. Again, you want that back. And that's a good thing, because a lot of people don't have that. They never stuck around for 3.5 years like you did. They never did that thing where you helped a whole bunch of guys before, and you were a big influence on guys that now have more sobriety than you do. Some of them, right? But a lot of newcomers don't stick around like that. You have reached a point where you want to continue the journey where you left off. All right, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's like the same thing
and
about
it shows.
That's exactly the progression of alcoholism.
Yeah,
you pick up where you left off.
progressive. Yeah.
So, do you believe that that's the same with relapse? If you come back into the room after you had some time, some decent time.
I've seen just recently somebody with 21 years do it.
Yeah. Did they come back into the room and pick up where they left off?
No, what they did was they did 3 days of meetings, and then it took a couple of days off. They did 2 days more. And then I personally confronted him. I said, "What are you doing, man? You were a big influence on my sobriety. How come you're not here? I got to work." Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever. It takes what it takes. And it's not my job. My job is to have an ongoing, for anybody within earshot, my job is to be the best me I can be, uh, and carry a message as I understand it, without tainting the message. It's real important that it's a clear message. Drinking bad, not drinking good. Drugging bad, not drugging good. I mean, it's very simple stuff. And we have these giants that come before us that have a whole bunch of nice writings and stuff like that. Dr. Bob, with his 4 reasons for not, for doing what he does, for helping other dudes, man. He's got 4 great reasons. The one that sticks out to me is because he's taking out insurance on his own sobriety.
Yeah.
That's me. That's what
I can definitely agree to the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure to do it.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
It's a pleasure.
Sometimes it's a pain in the ass.
I was at the vape shop yesterday.
Yeah.
Before I came here, Tony,
Yeah.
I went to go get a vape.
Mm-hmm.
I get into there. It's just me and this guy. All them vape shops smell like reefer dope now.
Yeah.
They're selling the CB3 and all that shit. And so I get in there and whatever. We're just bullshit and banter about this, that, and the other thing. One thing leads to another, man. And I get to talking. I always put myself out there. I do like little slick jokes or whatever, One day, now they're selling kratom at the vape shops. They got a fucking a vape, like a wow wow wow. They got a smoothie, a kratom smoothie bar at the vape shop. And the guy, I was like, "What are you guys doing? Selling kratom smoothies?" He's like, "Yeah, you want to try one?" I'm like, "Nah, buddy, I prefer to shoot heroin. Thanks a lot." You know what I mean? And it's just whatever, man. I always make light of the pain, right? And so I'm sitting in the vape shop. One thing leads to another, man. And we get to bullshit. And I said, "Man, you guys got all these different CBD vapes, all these different weed vapes." I said, "Man, it wasn't too long ago. I said I got a little time sober now or whatever." And I was hitting them weed vapes, man. And let me tell you, bro, I hardly breathe a sober breath with them things, man. So I get to bullshitting with this kid behind the counter about the vape. And when we start talking, I told him I was sober. And they always want to congratulate. "Oh, man, that's great." Yeah. And, whatever. Thanks, man. And so he goes, "Yeah, man, I'm dealing with this situation right now with a good friend of mine. He's actually living at my house. We're trying to get him into treatment tomorrow, And I sit down with this guy. I start, "Oh, yeah, where's he going? What's he doing for dope?" "Oh, man, he's doing fentanyl. He's actually at my mom's house. I live with my mom." I get to talking to this guy, man, and we're exchanging. And I'm just spitting from the heart, man, things that I'm trained out in, man, And I explained to him that, "Well, where's he going?" "Well, he's going to a Christian program over in Swainsboro or whatever." And I said, "Oh, man, I wonder, is he a Christian? And he's like, nah, man, that's one of the reasons why he's not wanting to go. And so let me tell you one thing that I'm eternally grateful for, why I really don't want to leave Savannah. I went through the program here in Savannah, right? And, I got honest, brutally honest, man.
Yeah.
Right. And the powers that be see that, and you develop a relationship
That's
with
right.
certain people. Right.
That's right.
And they want to,
Help.
they want to help.
Oh, yeah.
And they've seen it over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah.
And so they know when somebody has something that's worth sharing.
That's right.
Right. Because that's how this all works, man.
That's
right?
right.
I am my brother's keeper.
That's right.
So I went through this program, and I'm able to go back there. Right. And I'll never forget the guys that bought me cigarettes when I was in detox, the guy that gave me clothes when I was wearing my ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend's Savannah fishing shirts that were too small. You know what I mean? I never forget those guys.
Yeah.
That feeling of love
Yeah.
is something that I'm good at carrying, man.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from all the love my dad gave me, right?
Yeah.
So I go back there, and so now I get to tell people about this program. I was homeless, Tony. Not only was I homeless, I didn't have a license. I had nothing, no bank account, no car. I come off of the street into a program. They put me through detox. I'm sitting on a couch eating Hungry Man's and watching TV, man. You know what I mean? I get through this detox program. They put me into a program where I could stay for up to 2 years. Now I got guys that are coming in, and they're bringing this message of hope and love. And these guys are all different, man. There's badass old musicians. There's old outlaws. There's a doctor. There's a lawyer. There's a punk guy. There's a jock. There's a gay man. There's every possible scenario of people that you could see. And we're all saying the same thing, man.
Yep.
There is a solution.
There is.
Here's what I did.
Yep.
Right. So we talk about this community that grows up about you, man. And if I was Martin Luther King, if I was able to articulate with passion and love and honor what I have, I still could never express what you guys have done for me, man. And that's one thing that I have, the gift of being able to look somebody in the eyes and get emotional. I can't help it, man. I get emotional, man, because of the love and grace that I have in my heart from you guys, man.
Yeah.
That sat me down. And then we get into this roadmap, this book that tells me how to recreate my life. All of these things that I thought about myself, man. I'm a badass. I'm a loser. I'm this. I'm that, man. I start doing that work, and it slowly changes, man. And boy, oh boy, do I do the same things over and over again. And then I become uncomfortable, and I call and I get honest with somebody, man. And they don't beat me over the head, man. They say, I've done it too.
Yep.
Here's what we do different. We're trained out, man. We're trained out with this new way to live, man. And as you go throughout your days and you're practicing this new material, this new way of living, something happens, man.
Yes.
Yes. Something happens, man. You call it whatever you want, man.
Character.
A spiritual experience, a new way, whatever you want to call it, man. But the more time you put in of doing the right thing,
Yep.
of being honest, of making amends,
Yep.
of recognizing faults and patterns of behavior, and when they come up, doing what you need to do to change that and get honest, man, there's no dope, there's no women, there's no Harleys, there's nothing that
Nothing like
compares
that.
to that feeling, man. Right?
Yep.
And so I'm explaining that to this guy, this stranger at the vape shop.
Yep.
And this man starts crying.
He's crying?
He's
really?
crying. He's crying, man. He's crying. 30-year-old kid, man. Beard, curly hair, man.
So he's crying because he's missing that. He wants that.
Well, maybe.
Yeah,
And that's
probably
another thing that I don't want to forget about, right? Is like what happens when people come into these rooms that might not actually be the same type of people we are, right? And they see this love and joy and friendship, man, and how attractive that community is, right? How beautiful it is to have these guys and this friendships and these events and these activities, man, that we do, that most people are live their life completely in isolation, alone. They think about themselves all day long.
Yes.
Drive, get out of my way in traffic.
Yes,
get out of my
the great
way.
lie. We were all told the great lie. Yeah, no, we're not an island. We need other people.
Do you know how amazing it is to have what I have in this phone, to be able to say, hey, man, take my number down?
That's right.
Because I can help your
That's
boy
right.
get into here.
That's right. That's right.
I've recently been in a class that was something that I had to suffer because of the consequences of my actions, right? So we call it wreckage of the past, right?
Uh-huh.
And so because of my wreckage of the past, I have to pay these consequences. And so now I'm in this class for the actions that I've caused, and I'm sitting around with these men. And all of these men have done the same thing that I've done, right? And the days go by and I share, and I'm sober, dude. I'm happy. I'm joyous. I'm free. That's a fact. That's a fact of sobriety, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I know there's some situations in my life that are happening right now that are very, very sad if you were to perceive them like that, right? If you were to see that through a camera, most men would say that's sad and that's horrible, right?
Yeah.
But because of sobriety, because of this higher power that I have in my life, I am truly able to accept that everything is exactly the way that it's supposed to be. That's not some bullshit.
That's right.
That's not some words that I'm saying, man.
That's right.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yep.
And so if we go back to relapse, well, guess what, Tony? That was exactly the way that it was supposed to be at that time.
That's right.
Now I'm able to share this message of hope to this young man in this class that I'm with. He comes up to me after class, has nothing to do with alcoholism. And he says, "Hey man, I've heard you in class these last few weeks, these last few months, man." And he says, "I have a drinking problem." Dude, man.
That's Jay.
That's right. I have to hold that
How's
in.
he doing?
He's doing really good.
That's
man.
good.
I have to hold that excitement in my soul. Tony, when that happens, you know what happens to me? My veins are popping out. I'm riding a Harley 100 miles an hour and I'm going, fuck yeah. Because I know what, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So I explained to him, and so you talk about this, you're different, you're relaxed, man. All that is still in me.
Well,
man.
yeah, I mean, everything you're going to now is a lot different than it was when you were doing relapse. I mean, you've reached a point where you're actually utilizing the suggested tools. You're utilizing the suggested path. You're helping others. You're following the instruction. All shit you weren't doing. All shit you weren't doing because you were locked into your idea of what you should be doing. See, that's the difference. The difference is I'm no longer running the show. Okay, now something else is running the show, and I'm falling along into it.
I run the show sometimes during the day.
Well,
It's not every day, all day.
You run the show within a certain parameter, right?
Sure.
If it gets dangerous, you probably would drop that. I would like to think so.
Right.
I would like to think so. If it infringes on your sobriety, I would like to think you would drop that situation. But yeah, no, we still are in this place where this is all, all the world is a stage and we are the players, right? This is still a facade. All of it's a facade. I don't want to get carried away with that shit. But this is all an illusion. This is all crazy. I think things are a certain way, and so I react that way. Okay.
What types of things?
Well, I think that things that aggravate me, right? I think it's the way it is. And yet, if I talk to somebody else that might know the situation, I say, "Oh, really? That doesn't bother me. Why is it bothering you?" Okay, right? I have a set of parameters that I want to see happen, which means, if we go to the literature, I'm playing director, actor, I'm stagehand, I'm doing the whole 9 yards. This is what I want to happen. Okay, and when reality comes in to play, what's actually happening is reality, and that's all that counts, really. All that is real is what's really happening.
It's a little heady, Tony.
Well, let's put it to you like this: there's never a time when reality isn't happening. Okay, never. It's always real. Okay. Now, talking about it may seem a little strange, but there's never been a time that wasn't now. Everything that's going to happen is going to happen now.
All right.
Nothing ever happened that didn't happen now. So, I got all the shit that
I can dig that.
Yeah, well, it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no ago and yet. It's not. That's all bullshit.
Hit the button.
Now is the only thing that is real. All right.
Yeah.
So when I have an idea of how things should be and they're not going that way, it's because I'm fighting the way things really are. Okay. My preferences for the situation are what the problem is. The problem is I prefer this to be happening and it's not happening. So what do? I beat my head against what's actually happening, and I get a resentment, or I get in a fist fight, or I start yelling like a freaking madman, and people are like, "Why is it bothering him? It doesn't bother me. What?" Yeah, you know. So we still have a long way to go before we stop trying to control the situation. Now, you got a job and you got to be in charge of something. That's a problem. I mean, I don't know to this day, how does a car salesman and a lawyer live with themselves? I want to know how. And you know, it's really funny because we got some really good friends that are car salesmen and lawyers, and I don't know how they can lie to people to make money. Okay, I'm just trying to figure that one out still to this day. And look, we can have a rational conversation about all that if we need to, but we don't need to. Okay. This is my pet peeve. The reality is this: you are not serving anybody but yourself if you are getting something over on somebody. All right. Now, that includes getting over on somebody within boundaries, parameters, accepted parameters. To resist or to be surrendered and accepted is the ultimate goal. And I think that's the only place where you can live comfortably inside your own skin. But this is a world that is a rat race. And I understand. But yeah, I mean, just because something is happening doesn't mean it's right. You know? No, it's a ridiculous conversation. I know, and it's true too. I mean, it's a true conversation, but it's ridiculous because we are living in this world, and shit is the way it is. But when I'm not feeling good about stuff, it's because I'm not accepting the way shit is. It is. It is what it is, and it's bothering me. Why is it bothering me? It's bothering me because I'm not in control of it, and I want to be in control of it. Oh, there's something wrong with that. So I'm not going along with the flow. I want to be in control. Okay. Um, Relapse has a lot to do with that. Okay. I built up for so long. This, of course, is not a true story. I wanted the best for this person and for my family. I wanted the best, and I built it up for so long. I had plans going. I saw the conversations that were going to be had. I saw the smiles on children's faces. I saw the adoring look in my wife's eyes. I saw everybody being happy with what I've produced. And then it rained, right? And the shit never happened, and people got pissed off over stuff, and all of a sudden I felt it was my fault. Okay. That's because I was talking to myself, and it wasn't real to begin with. It was projection. Relapse comes because of projection. Okay. And bottom line is, you're a different guy today. I'm a different guy today. Hopefully we stay this way, but that isn't going to happen unless we don't lapse. What do you say?
I say sober's better.
Sober is better, and my sobriety is non negotiable.
I think of the feeling that we get from drugs and alcohol. You hear the Buddhists, they talk about seeking pleasure, avoiding pain, and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
I think that we're all on that journey to feel happy, to feel wanted, to feel good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think of what it's like, even in sobriety, that feeling that I get from being able to get a homeless guy connected with the Tonys and the John. You know what I mean? It's still me changing the way I feel.
Yeah, but you know what? You're going to change still. Nothing stays the same. No, what you're feeling right now is going to change. It's going to change. What I'm feeling right now is going to change. The only thing that stays the same is change. That's it. Change, 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 change. So my take on this is maybe different next week. You know, it's all change. So whatever it is that, uh, in particular, you're referring to right now, you'll have a different attitude about it in a while. Nothing stays the same, everything changes. This too shall change. I mean, it's a great saying because I feel great. This too shall change. I feel like shit. This too shall change. I mean, it's a useful tool. if only I can remember it, you know? So the problem is when something's going not my way, it's the end of the freaking world. Wow. Why is that? Because I'm not paying attention. I'm not paying attention.
There's nothing better than watching the light come back on
Yes.
in your brother's eyes.
That's the truth. That's a God's honest
That's
truth.
why I'm here. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. The God's honest truth. I mean, to have somebody have an aha moment and you get to witness it. And so finally, here we got another team player. Yay! Welcome aboard. Come on, man. Well, let's go to work. We got people we got to help. Yeah. When someone's on the AA beam, it's the most rewarding thing. I mean, yeah, this dude comes in, you come in, you are freaking, you are solid burnt, and now you are Adam. Now you're Adam, and you're becoming more Adam. What you were, I don't know. And you still have, by your own admission, there's a lot of work to be done. By my admission, there's a lot of work to be done. But I understand now that everything is, it's not on my time. So I need to calm down. I gotta learn this whole timeline, man. This timeline thing. Okay, so in A Course in Miracles, there's a great line. All right, the line is, the purpose of time is to learn how to use time. Whoa. I'm like, whoa, whoa. And then I read the whole thing on it, man. They're talking about it. I mean, it does God's purging pain, right?
Huh.
Purging pain. The purpose of the pain is so that you truly get a well rounded understanding, a well rounded education. I did this and this happened. I don't like that. I wish I hadn't have done that. Okay, well, we need to undo that. You feel bad? I feel very bad for what I did. Good. I say, maybe you won't do that again. Ah, but here comes relapse. Right? I forget so fast until I've learned how to use time. Right? Until I learn how to use time, I'm going to repeat the same shit over and over and over again. So the purpose of time is to learn how to use time. The purpose of pain is to learn how to deal with the pain. You're not ever going to be without the pain. There's always going to be pain. And everybody that wants to feel good, I think they're out of their minds. What a wonderful experience it is to be able to be an acrobat, a spiritual acrobat in a pain world. Wow. You can turn on a dime and make shit positive. I mean, we need to be looking for more of that and less of, I need to feel better, man. I've been feeling like shit. Yeah. Hey, man. Fucking make a carving. Do something with the shit. Sculpt or something. Anything. Do something.
Make a carving.
Yeah, carving. Do something, man. Make something out of it.
Make a carving.
Yeah. So the deal is, when
What's the deal, Tony?
I want to feel good.
Me too.
I just want to feel good, and that's good. All right. So we're not doing anything now, but listening to me babble. So we said
we're not even listening to you do that.
No, we ain't doing that. No, I'm going to edit this part out. Trust me when I tell you that. So here we are, and what happened was, as far as I know, Facebook screwed up or Restream screwed up. It wasn't YouTube because YouTube had it listed as private, so it wouldn't have showed up on YouTube until after I threw the switch and said it was public. Yeah, so we got to find that out. But all you people were sorry for the glitch, but we had a great time. We're talking to each other.
Yeah.
We see a miracle right there. Adam COURNOYER, and I'm Tony Richards, and we are absolutely not anonymous, as you can tell. I mean, we're giving up the ghost, man. We're telling on everything. I mean, the only thing we really haven't done is drop names. We ain't dropping no names. It's not our job to drop names. We know things. And we're going to try and see if we can help somebody after this. But that's it, guys. And we're going to move on. Look at that smile on that guy. Look at that face.
How you doing?
That's a face that launches ships. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's beautiful. All right, man. We love you. And
we love you.
We love you. We hope you do the next right thing and the next thing right. So, adios.
Later.